The bridge of the research ship New Horizon was quiet. Captain Yuna Kim stood watching the stars through the big window. Her crew worked at their stations, checking readings and running tests. They were 3 days out from Earth, heading to the Centauri system to study some old space rocks. Then the communications officer looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, we have an incoming message. It's from the Altair system." Yuna turned around fast. The Altair system was Velkan space. The Velkans never talked to humans unless they were telling them to stay away from their territory. "Put it on screen," she said. The main screen showed static and broken signals. Strange sounds came through the speakers. It sounded like voices, but not human voices. The words were in an alien language that made harsh clicking sounds. "Dr. Juan Park to the bridge," Yuna called over the ship's speakers. Dr. Park was their language expert. If anyone could figure out what the aliens were saying, it was him. Dr. Park arrived in less than 2 minutes. He was a thin man with thick glasses who always looked like he had not slept enough, but his eyes were bright with excitement when he heard the alien voices. "This is definitely Velkan," he said, sitting at a computer station. "But something is wrong. The tone is all different. Let me clean up the signal and translate it." The next hour felt very long. Dr. Park worked at his computer while the strange alien voices kept coming through the speakers. The captain paced around the bridge. Her crew looked worried. Messages from the Velkans were never good news. Finally, Dr. Park sat back in his chair. His face was pale. "Captain, you need to hear this. The translation is complete." The speakers now played the alien message in clear English. The voice sounded desperate and afraid. "To any human ships that can hear this message, this is High Commander Vorth of the Velkan Empire. We need your help. Our world is dying. A dead star is coming toward us. Its radiation is killing our people. We have tried everything, but we cannot stop it. We know we have not been friends. We know we have told you to stay away from our space. But please, we beg you to help us. We will give you anything you want. Technology, resources, even our service. Please save our people. Time is running out." The bridge was completely silent. Everyone stared at the speakers like they could not believe what they had heard. The proud Velkan Empire was asking humans for help. The same aliens who had always threatened to destroy any human ship that came too close to their space. Yuna was the first to speak. "Dr. Park, are you sure this translation is correct?" "I checked it 3 times, Captain. They are definitely asking for help, and they sound really scared. How long until this dead star reaches their system?" Dr. Park looked at his readings. "Based on their description, maybe 6 months, maybe less." Yuna walked over to the communication station. "Send this message straight to Admiral Tae-Wan at Terra Command. Maximum priority. And Dr. Park, I want you to learn everything you can about this dead star they mentioned." The message reached Earth in 2 days. Admiral Tae-Wan was in his office when it arrived. He was an older man with gray hair and many years of military service. He had fought in the border wars with the Velkans 10 years ago. He remembered their threats and their attacks on human colonies. The Admiral read the translation report twice. Then he called for an emergency meeting with the military council. Within hours, the most important people in Earth's government were sitting around a big table in a secure room deep underground. "Let me make sure I understand this," said General Min-hyuk Yoon. "The Velkans, who have spent the last 20 years telling us to stay in our own small corner of space, are now asking us to save them?" "That appears to be correct," Admiral Tae-Wan replied. "Dr. Park's translation team has confirmed the message. The Velkan homeworld is facing destruction from what they call a dead star. Most likely a magnetar." President So-young Choi looked around the table. "What do we know about magnetars?" Dr. Yoonbi Jang, the government's top space scientist, answered. "Magnetars are incredibly dangerous. They shoot out radiation that can kill all life on a planet from very far away. If one is heading for the Velkan system, their people really are in serious trouble." "The question is," said intelligence officer Kwang-soo Nam, "do we help them? This is the same empire that destroyed our mining station at Ross 154. The same aliens who told us that humans were not welcome in the outer systems." Admiral Tae-Wan pulled up some files on the big screen. These are reports from our border conflicts with the Velkans. In the past 10 years, they have attacked 17 human settlements. They have captured or killed over 3,000 of our people. They have told us that if we try to expand beyond the inner systems, they will wipe us out completely. President Choi looked at the files. But now they are asking for our help. They are begging for our help, Admiral Taewon corrected. The message was not a request, it was a plea. General Yoon stood up and walked to the big screen showing star maps. What are our options? Can we even help them if we wanted to? Dr. Jang answered, we do not have the technology to stop a magnetar. No one does. The only option would be to evacuate their entire population. But that would mean moving billions of aliens to new worlds. We do not have enough ships for that kind of operation. So even if we wanted to help them, we probably could not save them all, President Choi said. That is correct, Dr. Jang replied. Intelligence Officer Nam brought up new files. There is something else we need to consider. Our spies in Velkan space have reported some disturbing things. The Velkans are not just a military empire. They are slave owners. They have conquered and enslaved dozens of other alien species. Some of these species have been trying to contact us for help, but the Velkans stopped their messages from reaching human space. The room got very quiet. Everyone looked at the new information on the screen. How many species are we talking about? President Choi asked. At least 20 different alien races, maybe more. The Velkans use them as workers, soldiers, and test subjects for their weapons. Admiral Taewon sat forward. Test subjects? They experiment on other species to create weapons that target specific alien biology. They have been working on bioweapons designed to kill humans for the past 5 years. The silence in the room was heavy. Everyone understood what this meant. The Velkans were not just enemies, they were monsters. President Choi stood up. I think we have heard enough. The Velkans sent us a message asking for help. I believe it is time we sent them a reply. Admiral Taewon smiled, but it was not a happy smile. What kind of reply did you have in mind, Madam President? The kind that shows them exactly what humanity thinks of their request. The United Earth Assembly building was buzzing with activity. Representatives from every human colony and nation had gathered for an emergency meeting. The news about the Velkan request had spread quickly through the government, and now everyone wanted to know what humanity's response would be. President Soyoung Choi walked into the main assembly hall. Hundreds of representatives sat in rows of seats that curved around a central speaking area. The room was huge, with tall windows that showed the busy streets of New Geneva outside. Ladies and gentlemen, President Choi began, we are here to discuss the message we received from the Velkan Empire. As you all know, they are asking for our help to save their world from a cosmic disaster. Minister Do-hyun Kang was the first to stand up. He was known for always trying to find peaceful solutions to problems. Madam President, this could be our chance to make peace with the Velkans. If we help them in their time of need, maybe we can end the conflicts between our species. Maybe we can start working together instead of fighting. Many representatives nodded their heads. The idea of peace was attractive. War was expensive and dangerous. If they could help the Velkans and make friends with them, it would be good for everyone. But then General Min-hyuk Yoon stood up. He was wearing his military uniform with many medals on his chest. His face was serious and hard. Minister Kang, I understand your desire for peace, but we cannot ignore what the Velkans have done to us. The general pressed a button, and the big screens around the room showed pictures and videos. They showed destroyed human settlements. They showed the burned remains of space stations. They showed lists of names, human colonists who had been killed or captured by Velkan forces. These are not ancient history, General Yoon continued. These attacks happened in the last 10 years. The Velkans have made it very clear that they see humans as inferior beings who should stay in our small corner of the galaxy. The room got quieter as people looked at the images. Many of the representatives had friends or family members on those lists of the dead and missing. Dr. Eunbi Jang walked to the center of the room. She was carrying a tablet computer with lots of data on it. I have been studying the Velkan Empire for many years, she said. What I have learned is very disturbing. She touched her tablet and new images appeared on the screens. These showed alien creatures that looked different from Velkans. Some were tall and thin with blue skin. Others were short with fur covering their bodies. Some looked almost like giant insects. These are the other species that live in Velkan space, Dr. Zhang explained. But they do not live there by choice. The Velkans conquered their worlds and made them slaves. These species work in mines, factories, and farms. They have no freedom and no rights. Representative Lisa Chen from the Mars colony raised her hand. Dr. Zhang, how do we know this is true? The Velkans have never let human observers into their territory. We know because some of these aliens have tried to escape, Dr. Zhang replied. A few have made it to human space over the years. They tell stories of terrible treatment, families separated forever, children taken from their parents to work in dangerous places, entire species forced to fight in Velkan armies against their will. The room was now completely silent. Everyone was staring at the pictures of the enslaved aliens. Dr. Zhang continued, but there is something worse. The Velkans do not just use these species as workers, they also use them for experiments. They test new weapons on them. They try to create diseases that will kill specific types of aliens. They have been working on biological weapons designed to target human DNA. A voice from the back of the room called out, "Are you saying they want to commit genocide against us?" "That is exactly what I am saying," Dr. Zhang replied. "We have intercepted communications from Velkan military leaders. They call it the final solution to the human problem. They want to create a virus that will kill only humans, leaving our colonies and resources for them to take." President Choi looked around the room. She could see the anger and fear on people's faces. "Dr. Zhang, when did you learn about these genocide plans?" "The intelligence came in just 3 months ago. We have been quietly preparing defenses against biological attacks ever since." Intelligence Officer Kwang Su-nam stepped forward. He was a quiet man who rarely spoke in public meetings, but everyone knew he had access to the government's most secret information. "There is one more thing," he said. "We believe the Velkans are holding human prisoners." The room exploded in shocked voices. Representatives started talking to each other loudly. President Choi had to call for order several times before the room got quiet again. "Explain," she said to Officer Nam. "Over the past 5 years, we have lost contact with several exploration teams and small colonies near Velkan space. We assumed they were destroyed or lost to space accidents. But our intelligence suggests that at least some of these people were captured alive and taken to Velkan research facilities." "How many people are we talking about?" asked Representative Torres from the Europa station. "At least 200 humans. Maybe more. They are being held with the other alien prisoners and used for experiments." General Yoon's face was now red with anger. "So while we sit here debating whether to help the Velkans, they are torturing our people in their laboratories?" "That appears to be correct," Officer Nam replied. President Choi stood up and walked to the center of the room. Everyone watched her carefully. They knew she was about to make a very important decision. "Let me make sure I understand the situation," she said. "The Velkan Empire has spent years attacking our colonies and threatening to destroy us. They have enslaved dozens of alien species. They are working on weapons to commit genocide against humanity. They are holding our people prisoner and experimenting on them. And now, when they face destruction from a cosmic disaster, they are asking us to save them." "That is correct." "Madam President," General Yoon replied, "and if we refuse to help them, their empire will be destroyed by this magnetar. Yes, their entire civilization will be wiped out." President Choi looked around the room at all the representatives. "I want to call for a vote. All those who believe humanity should send aid to help save the Velkan Empire, please raise your hands." A few hands went up, maybe 20 out of 300 representatives. "All those who believe humanity should refuse to help the Velkans, please raise your hands." More hands went up this time. About 50 representatives voted to refuse help. "And all those who believe humanity should send a different kind of response to the Velkan Empire, please raise your hands." The rest of the room raised their hands. More than 200 representatives voted for this third option. President Choi smiled. It was not a kind smile. "The vote is clear. Humanity will send a response to the Velkans. Admiral Tae-won, please prepare our fleet." "What kind of response should I prepare, Madam President?" the Admiral asked. "The Velkans sent us a message begging for their lives. I think it is time we showed them what happens to those who threaten human lives." Minister Kang stood up again. "Madam President, are you talking about war?" "I'm talking about justice, Minister Kang. The Velkans have committed crimes against humanity and against dozens of other species. They have tortured prisoners and planned genocide. Their empire is built on slavery and murder. Now they want us to save them so they can continue their evil ways. The president looked around the room one more time. But we are not going to let that happen. We are going to give the Velkans exactly what they deserve. Admiral Tae-Wan stood in the command center of Luna Base, looking at the biggest star map he had ever seen. Red dots showed the positions of human warships all across known space. In the past week, every military vessel in the fleet had received secret orders to gather at staging points near the Altair system. Status report, the admiral said to his staff. Commander Jiho, Lee stepped forward with a tablet full of numbers. Sir, we have assembled 215 warships. This is the largest human fleet in history. Every ship is fully armed and ready for combat. Admiral Tae-Wan nodded. And the crew briefings? Complete, sir. Every captain knows their mission. No one has been told the full plan, but they all understand that this operation is classified at the highest level. The admiral walked over to another screen that showed 3 massive ships floating in space near the moon. These were the newest and most powerful vessels in the human fleet. The Iron Will is ready for departure, reported Captain Yuna Kim over the communication system. Her dreadnought was so large it looked like a floating city covered in weapons. All systems are running perfectly. Storm's Edge is also ready, said Captain Bogum Shin from his aircraft carrier. His ship was smaller than the Iron Will, but it carried hundreds of fighter craft and bombers. My pilots are excited to finally see some action. Retribution is prepared for siege. Operations, added Captain Nari Lim. Her ship was built for one purpose, to destroy enemy planets and space stations. Its weapons could crack a moon in half. Admiral Tae-Wan looked at the fleet numbers again. 200 ships, 50,000 crew members. Enough firepower to destroy entire star systems, all of it aimed at the Velkan Empire. Fleet Admiral Sunho Ryu, are your task forces in position? The Admiral asked. The voice of Fleet Admiral Ryu came through the speakers from his flagship. Yes, sir. Task Force Alpha is positioned at the edge of Velkan space. Task Force Beta is moving to block all escape routes. Task Force Gamma is ready to provide support. We have the entire Altair system surrounded. Admiral Tae-Wan smiled. The Velkans had no idea what was coming for them. Meanwhile, on the Velkan homeworld, High Commander Vorth paced around his command center. The skin on his face was starting to show the effects of radiation poisoning. Dark spots were appearing, and he felt weak all the time. The magnetar was getting closer, and its deadly energy was already reaching their planet. Any response from the humans? He asked his communications officer. No, sir. We have sent the distress message 12 times. There has been no reply. Vorth looked out the window at his dying world. The sky had a strange green color now because of the radiation. Plants were turning black and dying. People were getting sick in the streets. Soon everyone on the planet would be dead. Send the message again, he ordered. Tell the humans we will give them anything. Our technology, our star maps, even our military secrets. Anything they want. The communications officer sent the message and waited. Still no response from human space. Sir, said Science Officer Kelth, our sensors are detecting something strange at the edge of our system. What kind of strange? Vorth asked. Unknown energy signatures. Very faint, but they are definitely there. Almost like ships running in stealth mode. Vorth felt his blood turn cold. How many ships? It is hard to tell, sir. The signatures are very advanced, but if I had to guess, many ships. More than we have ever seen in one place. High Commander Vorth ran to the main sensor station. He pushed buttons and adjusted the readings. Slowly, the sensors began to pick up more signals. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Impossible, he whispered. There must be a mistake, but there was no mistake. The sensors were showing a massive fleet of ships at the edge of Velkan space. Ships with technology more advanced than anything the Velkans had ever seen. Sir, the communications officer called out, we are receiving a transmission. From the humans? Yes, sir. It is coming from the fleet at our border. Vorth's hands were shaking as he walked back to his command chair. Put it on the main screen. The screen showed the bridge of a human warship. A woman in a military uniform was sitting in the captain's chair. Her face was calm, but her eyes were cold as ice. This is Captain Yuna Kim of the human vessel Iron Will, she said. We received your request for help. We have come to give you our answer. Vorth leaned forward. Captain Kim, thank you for coming. Our people are dying. The radiation from the dead star is killing us all. Please, we need your help to evacuate our world. Captain Kim looked at him for a long moment. High Commander Vorth, you say your people are dying. Tell me, how many innocent people have you killed over the years? I do not understand. Let me be more clear. How many humans have you murdered? How many alien species have you enslaved? How many planets have you destroyed? Vorth's face went pale. Captain, I know there have been conflicts between our people, but conflicts. Captain Kim interrupted. You attacked our colonies. You captured our people. You experimented on them like animals. You planned to commit genocide against the entire human race. The Velkin commander tried to speak, but no words came out. Captain Kim continued. You sent us a message begging for your lives. You offered us tribute and service in exchange for saving your empire. But there is one thing you forgot to offer. What? What is that? Justice. The screen went black. Then a new message appeared in Velkin text. Prepare to face the consequences of your actions. Vorth looked around his command center. His officers were staring at the screens in shock and fear. Outside, the green sky was getting darker as more radiation reached their atmosphere. Sir, the sensor officer said quietly, the human fleet is moving into our system. How many ships? All of them, sir. They are surrounding our planet. Vorth closed his eyes. He had spent his entire life believing that the Velkin Empire was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Their armies had conquered dozens of worlds. Their technology was advanced beyond anything other species could create. They were the masters of space. But now he realized the truth. The humans were not the weak, primitive species the Velkins had thought they were. They were something much more dangerous. They were justice itself, armed with weapons that could destroy worlds. Open a channel to all Velkin military forces, Vorth ordered. Yes, sir. This is High Commander Vorth to all units. Prepare for battle. The humans have come not as saviors, but as enemies. All ships, all ground forces, all planetary defenses are to engage the human fleet immediately. But even as he gave the order, Vorth knew it was hopeless. The human fleet was too large, too advanced, too powerful. The Velkin Empire was about to face the same fate they had given to so many other species. The only difference was that this time, they deserved it. The battle for the Velkin system began at exactly 800 hours, Earth Standard Time. But it was not the kind of battle anyone expected. Captain Nari Lim sat in the command chair of the Retribution, watching her targeting systems lock onto Velkin military installations on the planet below. Her ship's weapons were designed to destroy entire cities, but today she was being very careful about what she targeted. Firing solution confirmed, reported her weapons officer. Target is the main military command center in the capital city. Fire, Captain Lim ordered. A beam of pure energy shot down from space and hit the Velkin command building. The structure simply disappeared in a flash of light. No explosion, no fire, just gone. The buildings around it were not even damaged. Next target, the orbital defense platform, Captain Lim said. High above the planet, Captain Bogum Shin was leading his fighter squadrons against the Velkin space stations. His pilots flew their small, fast ships between the massive enemy weapons platforms like birds flying around trees. Red Squadron, take out the shield generators on Platform 7, Captain Shin ordered over his radio. Blue Squadron, disable the weapons on Platform 12. Remember, we want to capture these stations, not destroy them. The human fighters moved with perfect coordination. They had trained for this kind of operation for years. Each pilot knew exactly what to do and when to do it. The Velkin defenders tried to fight back, but their ships were too slow, and their weapons could not hit the fast-moving human fighters. Within 2 hours, every Velkin military installation in the system was either destroyed or captured. The Velkin fleet, which had seemed so powerful just days before, was floating in pieces in space. Admiral Tae Wan watched the battle from the bridge of his flagship. The whole operation was going exactly as planned, but the real mission was just beginning. Captain Yuna Kim, begin Phase 2, he ordered. Captain Kim's voice came through the communication system. Understood, Admiral. Beginning broadcast to the Velkin population. Every screen on the Velkin homeworld suddenly showed the same image. Captain Kim sitting at her command station on the Iron Will. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. People of the Velkin Empire, this is Captain Yuna Kim of the Human Defense Force. Your military has been defeated. Your leaders chose to attack innocent species and commit horrible crimes. They plan to destroy the human race and enslave the galaxy. Because of their actions, your empire must face justice. Down on the planet, millions of Velkans watched the broadcast in their homes and on public screens. Many of them had never known about the crimes their government had committed. They thought the humans were just another species that needed to be controlled. Captain Kim continued, "But we are not here to punish innocent people. We are here to free the prisoners your empire has held captive for so many years. We are here to stop the evil that your leaders have spread across the stars." In the capital city, High Commander Vorth was hiding in an underground bunker. Most of his military commanders were dead or captured. His fleet was destroyed. His planet was surrounded by human warships that could destroy his world with a single order. "Sir," one of his remaining officers said, "the humans are landing troops near the prison complexes." Vorth felt sick. The prison complexes were where they kept the alien slaves and the captured humans. If the humans found those places, they would discover the truth about what the Velkan Empire really was. "Send all remaining ground forces to defend the prisons," Vorth ordered, but it was too late. Lieutenant Young-Soo Park led the first human ground team into Prison Complex 7. He was Dr. Hwan Park's younger brother, and he had volunteered for this mission when he learned there might be human prisoners inside. The Velkan guards at the prison tried to fight, but they were no match for human soldiers in advanced armor. The battle was over in minutes. "Secure the facility," Lieutenant Park ordered his troops. "Search every cell, every room. Find all the prisoners." What they found made even the experienced soldiers feel sick. The prison was full of aliens from dozens of different species. Some were tall and blue-skinned. Others looked like giant insects or furry mammals. All of them were thin and weak from years of poor treatment. Many had scars from medical experiments. But in the deepest part of the prison, Lieutenant Park found something that made his blood boil with anger. A section marked human test subjects in Velkan writing. "Get a medical team down here right now," he called into his radio. "We have human survivors." Dr. Maya Soto was one of the first prisoners they found. She had been a xenobiologist on an exploration mission 5 years ago. Her ship had been attacked by Velkan forces, and she had been listed as missing and probably dead. Are you really human?" she asked Lieutenant Park in a weak voice. "Or is this another test?" "We are real," Lieutenant Park said gently. "We are here to take you home." Dr. Soto started to cry. "They said humans would never come for us. They said our people did not care about us." "They lied," Lieutenant Park replied. "We never stopped looking for you." As the rescue teams moved through the prison complex, they found more and more evidence of Velkan crimes. Computer files showed records of medical experiments on prisoners. Video recordings showed Velkan scientists testing biological weapons on living subjects. Documents described plans to use the test results to create weapons that could kill specific alien species. Captain Kim received the reports from the ground teams and shared them with Admiral Tae-Wan. "The evidence was worse than they had expected, Admiral," Captain Kim said. "We have found over 3,000 prisoners in the complexes we have searched so far. At least 200 of them are human. The rest are from 24 different alien species." "What about the experiments?" Admiral Tae-Wan asked. "The evidence shows that the Velkans have been testing biological weapons on prisoners for at least 10 years. They have created diseases designed to target specific alien genetic codes. They were very close to completing a weapon that would kill all humans." Admiral Tae-Wan was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke to the entire fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Tae-Wan. Continue the rescue operations. Free every prisoner. Capture every Velkan scientist and military leader involved in these crimes. They will face trial for what they have done." Meanwhile, the Velkan counterattack was falling apart. Their remaining ships tried to break through the human fleet, but it was hopeless. Human technology was 50 years more advanced than anything the Velkans had. Human tactics were better. Human coordination was perfect. Fleet Admiral Sunho Ryu watched the last Velkan battleship explode on his main screen. That was their final military vessel, he reported to Admiral Tae-Wan. "The Velkan fleet no longer exists." "Good," Admiral Tae-Wan replied. "Begin the final phase of the operation." High Commander Vorth received one last desperate message from his surviving commanders. "Sir, the humans have taken all the prison complexes. They have freed all the alien slaves. They have captured most of our scientists and military leaders. Our fleet is destroyed. What are your orders?" Vorth looked around his bunker. He was the supreme commander of an empire that no longer existed. His armies were defeated. His people were dying from radiation poisoning. His crimes had been exposed to the galaxy. "Send a message to the human admiral," he said quietly. "Tell him I want to surrender." But when the message reached Admiral Taiwan, his response was simple and cold. The Velkan Empire chose to show no mercy to its victims. It will receive no mercy in return. 3 days after the battle ended, High Commander Vorth made one final attempt to save his people. He sent a direct message to Captain Yuna Kim, begging her to meet with him face to face. Captain Kim agreed to the meeting, but not out of mercy. She wanted to look into the eyes of the creature who had caused so much suffering. They met in the ruins of the Velkan military headquarters. Captain Kim arrived with 2 bodyguards while Vorth came alone. The Velkan commander looked terrible. His skin was covered in radiation burns, and he could barely stand without help. "Captain Kim," Vorth said in broken English, "please, I know we have done wrong things, but not all my people are evil. There are millions of innocent Velkans who never knew about the crimes our government committed. Can you not show mercy to them?" Captain Kim looked at him with cold eyes. "High Commander, how many times did innocent aliens beg you for mercy? How many times did human prisoners ask you to spare their lives? But we were following orders. We thought we were protecting our empire. You were following orders when you captured Dr. Maya Soto and used her for medical experiments. You were protecting your empire when you planned to commit genocide against the human race." Vorth could not answer. Captain Kim continued, "You had 1,000 years to choose a different path. Your empire could have traded with other species instead of enslaving them. You could have explored the galaxy in peace instead of conquest. But you chose cruelty. You chose murder. You chose evil. Please," Vorth whispered, "we can change. Give us another chance. We will be different." Captain Kim stood up from her chair. "You will never get another chance to hurt innocent people. That is the justice you have earned." While this conversation was happening, the rescue operations continued across the Velkan system. Human medical teams worked around the clock to help the freed prisoners. Many of the aliens were so weak they could barely walk. Some had been prisoners for decades. Dr. Yunbi Zhang led the medical effort from the hospital ship Mercy. She had seen many terrible things in her career, but the condition of the prisoners shocked even her. "How many species did they experiment on?" she asked Lieutenant Youngsu Park as they walked through the medical bay. 24 different species according to the computer records. They were trying to create biological weapons that could target specific alien genetic codes. If they had succeeded, they could have wiped out entire civilizations. Dr. Zhang stopped at one of the hospital beds. A blue-skinned alien was lying there covered in surgical scars. "This patient has had 17 different operations performed on him. The Velkans were testing how different chemicals affected his biology." "Will he survive?" Lieutenant Park asked. "Yes, but he will need months of treatment. And the psychological damage? That will take years to heal." As the days passed, more shocking discoveries were made. The Velkans had not just been experimenting on aliens. They had been planning to use the enslaved species as soldiers in a final war against humanity. Computer files showed battle plans for an invasion of human space using armies of mind-controlled alien slaves. Admiral Taiwan read these reports from his flagship. Each new piece of evidence made him more certain that humanity had made the correct choice. "Sir," Commander Jiho Lee reported, "we have completed the evacuation of all non-Velkan prisoners. 3,200 individuals from 24 species have been freed. We also found evidence of at least 6 more species that were completely wiped out by Velkan experiments." "What about the Velkan population?" Admiral Taiwan asked. "The radiation from the magnetar is getting stronger every day. Our medical teams estimate that most Velkans on the planet will be dead within 2 weeks. Those in underground shelters might survive for a month." Admiral Taiwan walked to the big window on his ship's bridge. He could see the Velkan homeworld in the distance. The planet that had once been green and blue was now mostly brown and gray. The magnetar's deadly radiation was sterilizing the entire world. "Sir," Commander Lee said quietly, "some of the junior officers are asking if we should evacuate the civilian Velkan population. They say many of them were not involved in the war crimes." Admiral Taiwan thought about this for a long time. "Commander, in the past 50 years, how many times did the Velkan Empire show mercy to civilians of other species?" "Never, sir. They killed everyone on the planets they conquered." "How many times did they spare children or the elderly or the sick?" "Never, sir. The Velkans created a civilization based on cruelty and murder. For generations, their people supported leaders who committed genocide against other species. They cheered when alien worlds were destroyed. They celebrated when human colonies were attacked. Admiral Taiwan turned away from the window. The magnetar is not our weapon, Commander. It is the universe itself delivering justice. We will not interfere with that justice. But humanity's mission was not finished. While the Velkan homeworld was dying, there were other Velkan colonies and outposts throughout their former empire. Some of these bases still held alien prisoners. Captain Bogum Shin led a task force to Velkan Colony 7, a mining world where thousands of enslaved aliens were forced to work in dangerous conditions. When the human ships arrived, the Velkan colonial governor tried to negotiate. "We surrender," he transmitted to Captain Shin. "We will release all the alien workers. Just please do not attack us." Captain Shin's response was broadcast to the entire galaxy. "The time for surrender was before you committed your crimes. Now it is time for consequences." The human forces quickly overwhelmed the colonial defenses and freed the enslaved workers. But they also found something else: shipping records that showed where other Velkan outposts were located. Over the next month, human task forces visited 17 Velkan colonies and military bases. Each one was captured quickly and efficiently. Each one revealed more evidence of Velkan crimes. Each one had prisoners who were freed and criminals who were captured. By the end of the operation, the Velkan Empire had completely ceased to exist. Their homeworld was a dead rock floating in space. Their colonies were under human control. Their military was destroyed. Their leaders were either dead or in prison. But humanity's work was just beginning. President Soyoung Choi announced the creation of New Haven Station, a massive space station that would serve as a home for all the species that had been freed from Velkan slavery. Administrator Kyung-Soo Im was put in charge of helping these aliens rebuild their civilizations. For too long, these species have known only suffering under Velkan rule, President Choi said in her speech to the galaxy. Now they will learn what it means to live in freedom and peace. The freed aliens came from worlds that had been destroyed decades ago. Some species had only a few thousand survivors left. Others had been enslaved for so long that they had forgotten their own history and culture. But with human help, they began to remember who they were. Dr. Maya Soto, after recovering from her ordeal, volunteered to help the alien refugees. "The Velkans tried to break our spirits," she told a group of former prisoners. "They wanted us to believe that nobody cared about us, that nobody would come to save us. But they were wrong. Justice always finds a way." As for the few thousand Velkan survivors, they were given a single colony ship and sent to a distant system far from any other inhabited worlds. They would live, but they would never again have the power to hurt anyone. Admiral Tay once stood on the bridge of the Iron Will one last time before returning to Earth. He was looking at the dead Velkan homeworld through the ship's windows. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Commander Lee asked him. Admiral Taiwan was quiet for a moment. "Commander, the Velkans sent us a message begging for their lives. They offered us treasure, technology, even their service, but they never offered the one thing that might have saved them." "What was that, sir?" "They never offered to free their prisoners. They never offered to stop their experiments. They never offered to give up their evil ways. They only wanted us to save them so they could continue being monsters." Admiral Taiwan turned away from the window. "We gave them exactly what they deserved: justice." The final message that humanity sent to the galaxy was simple but clear. We are the protectors of the innocent and the enemies of the evil. The universe is vast enough for all who choose peace. It has no room for those who choose cruelty. And in the years that followed, when other species looked at the empty space where the Velkan Empire used to be, they remembered that message. They remembered that humanity had the power to destroy entire civilizations, but they only used that power against those who truly deserved it. The galaxy became a more peaceful place, not because everyone suddenly became good, but because everyone remembered what happened to those who chose to be evil. Justice had been served.